more than the OEMs that made the airplanes. They would handle the deliveries and getting the airplane to the location and all of the things that now were new to these owners, and they got very good at it. Over the next 10 years, they developed that enterprise to the point where they were now sort of eating into the market. They were eating into the attention of Cessna. Cessna was now really sort of keeping an eye on these guys. That's how much they had grown, to the extent that Tim White, who then later joined the company or merged with the company, started really taking notice of these guys that were always sort of in the equation. Textron took a real interest in them. And what Textron noticed, and what especially Tim, now eventually one of the partners, what they noticed was that no one was wrapping their arms around these pilots, especially at the OEM level. The OEMs were all about the aluminum and not about the people. And that's where Cyrus and Ben really excelled. And Tim noticed that, and Tim agreed with that. And so if you think about it, how do you finance the airplane? How do you, what kind of hangar do you find? Now the maintenance is all different. Now the operations are different. Now, instead of just two axes of X and Y, now you got a Z axis of altitude. Now these airplanes are higher altitude. There's a velocity vector now that didn't occur with a 182 or a Cherokee. And so now all of a sudden you're cooking along at 2 or 3 miles a minute instead of 1 or 2 miles a minute. And so the ethos changes when you get these airplanes. Cyrus and Ben recognized that and really sort of developed that whole philosophy around protecting the owners and the pilots of these airplanes. Again, Tim noticed that and brought them into a situation where they merged. Basically, Tim had left Cessna by that point, created Kansas Aircraft, merged and sort of created this new organism. And that organism grew rapidly as they gained market share, they gained prominence. The three of those guys developed an entire new industry. Matter of fact, from that partnership came the CJP, the Citation Jet Pilots Association, which I think served as a blueprint for a lot of other pilot associations. It really became pretty pronounced, and I think that CJP really brought those three guys to the forefront as well, and it exists to this day. Then Embraer did the same thing, and lots of other OEMs. But it all started with those two very unlikely friends in Santa Monica Airport, 20, almost 30 years ago now. I really love that organic sort of growth of our company. And what it did was instill in our DNA a focus on the person instead of the aluminum, and not instead of, but certainly a primary focus of the person before the aluminum. And I like that. What it did was also between the merge and the creation of and the acquisition of Kansas Aircraft and the Citation and turboprop focus, then it moved to JetQuest acquisition in about 2017. What that acquisition did was increase the size and the scope of the organism to a bigger airplane. Now they stepped up into the mid-cabin airplane realm. They were perfectly poised when the world changed with the advent of COVID. We are in this business very aware of the rapid drop off in 19 and 20, and then the rapid recovery, sort of a checkmark recovery, and it caught everybody flat-footed. I think we were ready for a much more protracted fall off and a slower recovery, but that recovery came quickly for lots of reasons and all the right reasons. jetAVIVA was perfectly poised for that recovery, and that rising tide really raised all ships in the airplane business, and jetAVIVA really benefited from that. So we went from that 3-person sort of genesis of our company to today, where we have 26 people in our company. We have 10 forward-facing sales managers, sales directors, managing directors that are running the outward-facing aspect of our company. We're not really salespeople. We don't really have any product. All we have is solutions, and we have experience. And And so we glue ourselves to these people to solve problems or to protect them from problems or to assuage problems or to prevent these problems, and really just makes the acquisition and the ownership and the eventual disposition of these airplanes infinitely easier to have our kind of experience and our kind of team behind you. As far as performance on the company, we're in the last 20 years, we're at a little over 1,000 transactions. We average about 100 a year. Our target again this year is 100 transactions. We're about in the amount of that aircraft transaction flow is about $500 million. So about 500 million flows through our company every year. If you combine the Citation, Pilatus, and Embraer market share, we're the leader by far in that combined market share. It's pretty amazing what this company has done over the last, especially decade or so, from a slow, steady start to a much more rapid climb up in the last few years, especially. We have 12 domestic locations now across literally coast to coast, Syracuse to Portland. I'm in Portland. So we cover the entire country with 12 different locations. We have a headquarters in Kansas City and a headquarters in Melbourne. That Melbourne genesis was Cyrus and Ben's a number of years ago, and so that still exists to this day. And our CEO, our VP of IT, and two of our sales managers and sales directors live there, right there in Melbourne. But the headquarters itself is in an office just outside of Kansas City in Overland Park. We also reached out and developed global partnerships with 4 companies across the country, South Africa and in England. And so that really broadens our global reach to have these global partners. We've sold and bought airplanes in 35 countries so far. It's pretty astounding what our global reach is. If you add up the experience of our sales team, that's 360 years of experience in the global sales team. Interestingly, 150 years of OEM experience. I came from the OEM, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but several of us came from the OEM. So if you total up that experience, that's 150 years of OEM experience. So that allows us to have about a 2/3 emphasis on pre-owned airplanes and about a 1/3 emphasis on new airplanes from the OEM, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you think about it, the skill set, if you have a Snap-on toolbox set of tools for pre-owned and a Snap-on toolbox of tools for new airplanes, the tools are similar, but they're different, and you need to have those tools that are unique to those two. So we have that capability. In the last 5 to 6 or 7 years, the large cabin segment of our market share has increased dramatically. Interestingly, that shift to large cabin thinking started at least 10 years ago. It's not something we just came up with. It's something we have been working on very scripted and very intentionally. We've been working on our large cabin prowess. And if you think about it, there's a completely different sell between, let's say, a Mustang and a G650. Completely different. Both cells are critically important to us, but they are different. In the Mustang or a Honda or a CJ, Honda Jet or a CJ, a guy and a gal and a family or husband and wife will buy that airplane because it's got a red stripe on it and they love red. They'll buy it because they can put their poodle in the back of the airplane. They'll buy it because it lets them go to Aspen for vacation. There's passion. It's a whole different sort of chemistry for these for light and mid cabin airplanes than there is for big airplanes. And a big airplane, that airplane has to earn its way into the calculus of the company. And many times the CEO is agnostic to the manufacturer. They don't care as long as that airplane starts and accomplishes the mission. So the passion equation is different. The pace equation is different. The talk track is different. Now introduced with a big airplane, CFOs, COOs, chief pilots, directors of maintenance, a maintenance program, now bigger hangars. And so everything changes in the large cabin division. And so again, I think it's important to point out that the transition of jetAVIVA started happening from light and mid cabin airplanes to a large cabin airplane at least 10 years ago. And so it takes us to modern day. We really have now put a box around our large cabin division, and we treat the large cabin division a little bit different. We have different agreements. Now engine programs and insurances and credit cards and all that kind of stuff no longer apply to the large cabin folks. So our agreements changed, our tempo changed in that division, and it's really kind of separate. And because there's a tremendous skill set to sell to a couple, a husband and wife, a high net worth individual, an owner pilot. Imagine that passionate, amazing, proud owner pilot of a Phenom 300 versus the owner of a 650. Way different. And so we kind of equipped and qualified our large cabin division a little bit different. My counterpart is a guy named Ben Dow. Ben has been with the company 7 years now. He's been 15 years in the business. His family was a Falcon family. He's been in the business a long time. We got him from JetQuest, where he was highly successful at JetQuest. So he now is my counterpart in the large cabin division, primarily focused on Falcons. They recruited me for the Gulfstream specialization. I've been in the sales and marketing realm of our industry for 26 years. I've been a pilot for, well, next year will be 50 years as a pilot. So I've done a lot, and I've got plenty of experience to run the Gulfstream division, the Gulfstream specialization of the large cabin division. Between Ben and I, we've got significant experience and significant successes over the years. We're supported by a guy named Carter Toss, and Carter is our sales operations specialist. So he does all the heavy lifting. Ben and I are out there in the trenches, and we lean on Carter back in our HQ to get stuff done. We also have Mike Clazing that we recruited. He's our VP of Tech Ops. So he is our pre-buy specialist and our program specialist, and all of the nuts and bolts of the large cabin airplanes we lean on Mike to handle and help us. So the four of us are quite joined at the hip. And unfortunately, we share Mike with the rest of the company. So Mike is spread a little bit thin these days. But that's kind of the genesis of all this. When you have a mid cabin to large cabin transition, you capitalize on the move up of our clients. They're always going to move up most of the time, and so from a CJ to an XL to a Challenger to a 650, and so we're capturing that move up. We're also capturing a lot of new business just with our brand, and we're capturing new business with our referrals. Between Ben and I, we know so many people, and so those referrals are so critical. And Tom, you know better than anybody the value of a referral. A referral will beat any $500,000 ad campaign. I'll take one referral instead of that. And so the referrals in our business are critically important, which is one of the reasons I'm here at IATA, is to make sure that I am part of other people's network and they're part of mine. And in this business, you can't operate without the network. But again, we are equipped and qualified to handle that talk track and that comm loop. I've got a deal going on right this minute, and so my contact is the general counsel of the company, not the principal. And then so that I'm keeping the principal up to speed, but my contact is the general counsel. That doesn't happen when you're selling a CJ. You have the luxury of talking directly with the owner of the airplane, and so we just have to understand that and sort of deal with that. But again, I think the takeaway there is that this transition to what we have just announced to the world as our large cabin division started 10 years ago. We didn't start it now. We wanted to wait till the website was done, our structure was done, our culture of our company was done, and the culture of the company allows us to attract the right amount of talent to our company. And so we took that talent, we made this large cabin division, and here we are. We have done so far this year a couple of 550s, a couple of 650s. I got a 500 coming. I got two 450s in flow, and then down to the 150 that you'll see in a minute. So the point is we're up and running, we're ready. And while no one was noticing, this airplane or this company became a large cabin company. It's really kind of fun to watch. So that brings me to the marketing section of our company. What's interesting at jetAVIVA is the hyper focus on marketing. Our CEO, Emily, that I'll talk about in a minute, Emily has assembled a marketing team that's just second to none. Our social media stuff, our specs, our branding, all of that stuff is really intentionally created to have a common marketing theme from the bottom to the top. And in a minute, I'll show you a clip of two of our outputs here. I just happen to be featured in the first one, and it's of a 150 that we've got listed now too. But the point is that we even hire the same photographer for every single spec. And so I want Dustin to take the same aspect ratio, the same picture, the same sort of looking up at the airplane. He's got this boom with a camera at the top, and he walks around the airplane. I mean, he's got the right equipment, and the takeaway is that all of the marketing looks the same. And I think that's critically important. I'm not used to that, and I'm not used to such a focus on marketing, but it's critically important, and it's part of the allure of the company is how we market these things. And frankly, that's all to make the client feel better that's buying the jet, but certainly the client that lists and trusts us to dispose of their airplane. I want them to trust our marketing material, and everybody in this industry knows pictures sell airplanes, and so our pictures are very, very consistent and very well done. And I think with that, Marcella, if you'll play that clip, and let me set it up. So you'll see we've kind of mashed these two together. There's me walking around the jet, sort of talking about the jet. And then I get in the airplane and we talk about the features and benefits. It's really a movable ad for the airplane that we list. I did one for the 600 that we've got. I've done them for the other airplanes, and we'll just keep doing those. Those are sort of social media push products, and those go out into social media and draw people to our website. They draw people to us. They create our brand. It's very, very effective. You'll also hear in this clip a voiceover from Dustin, and Dustin is our photographer. And so there's two products. The voiceover goes to our spec on our website. And so when you're looking at our listings on our website, you'll click and all of a sudden this voiceover will start, and it's Dustin talking about the features and benefits. I have then mined those features and benefits when I did the logbook review 2 weeks earlier of whatever airplane we have. And so I give him that information. He rattles off that information in the voiceover, and very, very useful. And I'm not used to it. And I was telling Marcella and Tom earlier that it's way harder than it looks to make these videos. It's 400,000 takes, and the photographer is very patient with me. And we go over the script, and I create the script. We go over it, he modifies it, and then we go to the airplane and we start working on this. It's very, very difficult, but he then takes my mess of clips and takes and creates a very nice cohesive output, and you'll see that here in a minute. But again, as you see this, notice how all of our listings look the same. The colors are the same. The perspectives on the photography is all the same. That's intentional, and I think very, very effective. And so, Marcelo, if you'll hit play, I'll share some of our marketing. Again, one of them is me walking around, and the other one is Dustin Bro's voiceover for two different reasons, but we've mashed these together just for brevity on this presentation. And Marcelo will hit play here in 2 seconds. Welcome to another aircraft review brought to you by jetAVIVA. I'm Jim Lewis.
jetAVIVA is pleased to present this 2007 Gulfstream G150, serial number 231.
The G150 utilizes a 56-foot wingspan, frankly a wing borrowed from the G200. Slats, straight from the G200. Better drive system, much more reliability. Frankly, it's the secret of the performance of the airplane.
This high-pedigree G150 is an efficient mid-cabin aircraft perfectly designed for long-range or short-range missions. The aircraft is equipped with ProLine 21 avionics and features the Honeywell MSP Gold coverage on the engines and APU, offering exceptional peace of mind. Please visit the jetAVIVA website link in the video description for complete details on Gulfstream G150 serial number 231. Thank you for joining us on this tour, and welcome aboard.
Thank you for joining me today on this aircraft review of the Gulfstream G150. We like talking about these airplanes almost as much as we love flying.
And I'm back on. Yeah. So more than an advertisement for the 150, I simply wanted to show you how much effort we put into making our listing clients feel good, how much information I push out to the industry so that our buying entities can sort of learn about the airplane and be ready. So it really is helpful. That makes my phone calls when the prospects come, they've already seen this stuff. They already know what equipment the airplane has in it. It's actually brilliantly done, and I like doing it. It's way harder than it seems. And I was telling Tom and Marcella earlier that that's not my father on the screen. That's me. Everybody thinks that's my dad, at 300 years old, but it's just me. But these things are way harder than it looks, and but it's worth it, and I see the results of that all day long. Just a couple more things, and I'll wrap up. Our targets for this year are no different. We will target 100 deals this year, and with the advent of much more large cabin products being sold, our average deal price is going up. All of our metrics are going up based on the hard work that Ben and I and Carter and Mike are doing for the company. It's very rewarding. And then the last thing I'll say is the backbone of our company is really Emily Deaton. She's a remarkable, amazing CEO and great experience, and runs the company really from her heart. It's pretty amazing to watch. She's the first one to say she's not a salesperson. She doesn't want to be a salesperson. She doesn't really even like salespeople, but she lets us do what we do, and she simply asks us what we need to do our job. And the perfect CEO for sure, and very, very supportive. And we are all here because of her. Really, we just don't want to let her down, and we'll take a bullet for her any day. Interestingly, the next two leaders of our company, also females, Kathy Oberbreckling, who's our CFO and sort of runs the Kansas City operation, and Brittany Kelso. So Brittany Kelso is our VP of transactions. So those three females are the backbone of our company, and they are legitimate, badass, fabulous, accomplished women. And they just do a phenomenal job, and we all just sort of fall right into place, and the organization works very well. The organization works very well. The last point I'll make is here at IATA, I looked around the room, and I was talking to Lucino, and I was talking to some of my colleagues there. And if you look around the room at IATA, there's 400 people in that room. Half of them are females. And I submit to you that those females had to work just a little tiny bit harder to be in that room with everybody. And I think they have to work probably just a little bit harder to be awesome, fabulous, powerful women in that room and earn their way to come back again next year. Every single one of them, really lovely, powerful, smart, savvy people. And so it was very interesting to see. So the outreach of our industry is working. The diversity is increasing. It's really kind of rewarding to see. I was talking to Erica, who runs the IATA meeting every year, and she's the backbone of IATA. And she said there are now 3 female, women-owned organizations in IATA. out of 50, that's a pretty good mass fraction of women-owned organizations. So the outreach is working, and the conversations are powerful, and the people of IATA are powerful. And Tom, we missed you this year. I don't know why you weren't here. It's Scottsdale and the weather's nice, and I expected to see you guys here. But and that's really it. More than a, and John, you're on the screen. More than an advertisement. It was more of a history lesson, and the whole point was jetAVIVA is being noticed. A lot has happened. The industry, some of the industry still thinks that we're, if this is our trajectory, the industry still thinks we're here, but we're here, and we have been there for a while. And so this all happened when people weren't paying attention. And so it was fun to join a company that's as sophisticated as we are, and as focused and as experienced as we are, and as enthusiastic as we are, and as accomplished as we are. There's a lot of experience here, and I'm by far the oldest guy that they've ever seen walk through the door. And so I was kidding that they had to build ramps for me, and the font is all bigger on the emails because of me, and they have to speak louder so I can hear them. So they're getting used to an old guy in the audience. But I'm thrilled to be here, honored to be here, and honored to sort of carry the flag. And so that's why I wanted to share some of the history of the airplane, of the company, with Tom and everybody on the screen. And thank you for giving me the time. I'll wrap it up and take any questions, or let everybody get on with their life.
So please, if you got a question, just unmute yourself and ask Jim directly. If you're on the live stream and you're not on the Zoom call, go in and send it on text, and Marcelo will read Jim the questions.
What is the formula for the volume of a sphere? Oh, no, that's not the right question. That's a different question.
Do you foresee a lot more Gulfstream coming on the market in this upcoming year?
I do. And the reason is now a long delayed G700 program is starting to hit its stride. And so those airplanes are delivering, and that's going to unlock and sort of jettison really nice 550s, really nice 650s. So the 550 market is saturated. There's a lot of 550s on the market. And so we're keeping an eye on those. We watch 5300 serial numbers and 5400 serial numbers come and go. The early ones are lingering a little bit, but I think the pricing expectations probably aren't in line with the reality of the market. So we're watching that happen. If I have a seller, I'm coaching he or her to anticipate the market. Don't follow it down. The market's not coming back. So let's get ahead of that. And so more than a salesperson, I'm a trusted advisor. I'm a partner. And so to your point, Marcella, as these airplanes get jettisoned and show up in the market, I want to be ahead of that. I want to, before we announce it, I want to coach and counsel the client, let them know what the market is. We're acutely aware of the background of the market. How many Ford Galley 550s are there? How many non-crew rest 550s are there? How many are on programs? How many are on JSSI? How many are on EAP? What are the conditions of the records? What's the pedigree of the airplane? Where did it come from? If it's been on the market a long time, why? Is there damage? Does it need paint? So we know every single airplane out there of the 55, and we're G200s. There are 55 G200s. We know every single one of them. So we want to have a really good understanding of the market. So when these airplanes appear, we can sort of differentiate them from their cohorts. Same with the 650. So the 650 market is climbing, still only about 5%. So it's still a seller market in the 550 world. Still technically a seller's market on the 550, but that won't last for long, because of exactly what you say. As those new airplanes deliver, really nice Gulfstreams will be unleashed into the marketplace. I want to anticipate that. If I'm representing the seller, different talk track than if I'm representing the buyer. But I can turn on a dime, and we know both of those worlds. So yes, you'll see a lot of those.
Any other questions, Marcelo?
There are no other questions.
Joanne, do you have any questions?
None from me, thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Haven't
Hey,
talked in a long time.
Joanne, what a pleasure. Good to see you. And I told you everything you already know.
Well, it's good to hear it again.
I'm a consultant. I tell you what you know. Give me your watch, Joanne. I'll tell you what time it is.
Wow.
Tom, thanks for having me. I really enjoy doing this. And again, all of us out here in the industry will do whatever it takes to help you and your team do what you do. I know Joanne leans on you. I darn sure lean on you. We all do. And I appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you very much for the support. All of us here at Aero Marine Tax Professionals appreciate it. And when you get ready to show another airplane and you want to tell the whole world, let me know. What month this year you want to do this again?
At my age, I have to get up, at like 8 to do these things. I can't get up that early.
Yeah, I know.
But agreed.
It looks like John has a question.
I'll just point out that it's a small world, Jim. I've known Ben Marcus for a long, long time. I'm part of Angel Flight. Ben was part of Angel Flight. I know, I mean, he wouldn't know me now, but Purdue, I just know of he and Cyrus. But I'm involved in a lot of things. So I tell people I can't afford to get in trouble. Too many people know me, but no, I've known it. And in fact, I was at a industry something in Palm Springs years ago and went down the line and talked to a bunch of people at jetAVIVA. So I mean, I know them, but I mean that's as far as it goes. So but I obviously don't know the right people because after I lost my job in flight safety, I couldn't find anything anywhere because all of a sudden it's like the insurance people, how much time in this? And I have to lie like I'm 16. How much time do you need? What avionics do you know? What do you need? No, and flight safety would not hire me back. The good old corporate network, you're very qualified. We're not going to hire. Who didn't like me? So now I'm working as an independent contractor, training people in their airplane for an ISMA rating, but it's actually very challenging because everyone's got a different panel now. Everyone.
I can only begin to imagine. My CSIP on my Cirrus, he gets into the airplane and he sees the Avidyne and he has to sort of reboot and get rid of the Garmin software in his brain and reboot with Avidyne every single time. But the Angel Flight network is pretty remarkable. Emily, our CEO, is a board member of Angel Flight West, and we were just at Endeavor Awards in LA. So
I missed it. Yeah, I can't do everything, but I've known. In fact, they just lost the guy. Josh just left, and nobody tells you where they're going, but he's gone somewhere else in the charity flying thing. So, but I've been part of. They recruited me back in '99, so I'm part of it. But my little 150 can't carry passengers very well, so. But no, gosh, I'm part of MBW. I'm part of a lot of things. I keep hoping something's gonna connect, but it's just, like who do I have to drink beer with to figure out?
They should have been here this week because a lot of beer was consumed.
Well, yeah, but in fact, yeah, I just finished up with a client who just took his check ride. So I'm kind of on the other side. I'm thinking, well, gee, maybe I don't know what I could. I don't know what kind of experience they want, but anyway. I'm out here trying to stir things up, and part of a number of things. So actually, these webinars that Tom has, I never know, gee, where am I going to fit? But it's interesting just what I learned listening and your whole pitch. It's like, gosh, there's stuff out there. I'm just trying to follow the industry from where I am.
The takeaway from this week at IATA is that the industry is in good shape.
Yeah.
And depends on what headline you read, what your side of the aisle you're on, but the data suggests that this isn't, the sky is not falling. The sky is in pretty good shape. And that was the biggest epiphany of the week. And the market leaders in that room. So if you take 4,000 people that pretend they sell airplanes because they have a cell phone, and all of a sudden they're a broker, you distill that into 50, and that's IATA. And so it's a august, distilled, concentrated group of high achieving, high performing broker dealers and our network. So the engine program folks there were, the avionics folks were there. And so all of the people that make this industry run were in that room. And it was really fabulous. We all dread coming to these things and we're always thrilled that we came, and it happens every single time. It's like a MBAA. You dread going to MBAA, and on the way home, you're so thrilled you went. And so one of these days I'll learn, but it's only been 50 years. I'm so glad we did this, and I was glad to know that the industry is super healthy, John. It's a lot of stuff going on out here.
Oh, it is. No, because I do Oshkosh, but I thought I'll try MBAA once or twice. I mean, it's been good. So, I'm involved in a number of them, and just curiosity, enthusiast, among other things. So,
Well, and I don't know if there's anybody else, Marcella, still with us, but interesting to hear what other people think about the state of the industry, if they're bullish or bearish. And I just heard we should be bullish.
no,
There's still like 8 people in here.
Stop listening to ABC, NBC,
I don't
Yeah.
want
and
to.
normal media because they're lying. They're trying to make you down-tone. The truth is, and what Jim said, things are great.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. Don't listen to the people who just want to ruin everything that Trump's trying to do.
Yeah. The tariffs are confusion and they're uncertainty. And I get that. I understand OEMs and stakeholders in our business are uncertain. When there's uncertainty, it affects us negatively. But the underlying data suggests that we're pretty darn healthy. So I think we all agree. We just want the uncertainty to go away, and then this thing will come roaring back. And I've advised my company, and I've advised all my colleagues out there, let's be ready for this. Because remember, in 2022, we weren't ready for it. 2021, we weren't ready for that rapid increase, and all of a sudden, the pendulum swung pretty quickly from buyer to seller market, and there was no inventory, and we had more buyers than sellers. And so let's be ready, and mentally and operationally. And I'm just glad I came. Of course, I dreaded coming, but I'm always glad that I came. But Tom, you're right. Let's get past this uncertainty and get back to business. All right. Well, I'll let you go, Tom. Or Marcella, you can hang up on me, but I sure enjoy doing this and eager to do it again.
You heard that, Marcella?
I
He's
heard
eager
it.
to do
I'm
it
holding
again.
you to it.
How about next week?
Oh, Lord.
I'll give you some time.
I'm an aero and marine tax professional supporter. You put me in, coach. I'll do whatever you guys need me to do.
Okay.
Very good.
Thanks, folks.
Have a great day, you guys.
Marcella.